The monitoring station Helia 7 floated quietly at the outer edges of known territory, its advanced sensors scanning the darkness between distant suns. Lieutenant Sarah Chen watched her screen with tired eyes, sorting through endless waves of background noise from deep space. 3 long years at this remote post had taught her to expect nothing but silence, until this particular day changed everything. A signal sliced through the emptiness with startling clarity. The pattern was far too structured to be random, far too urgent to ignore. Sarah's attention snapped into focus as her computer systems flagged the strange transmission. This wasn't anything in human records. The frequencies shifted in ways that revealed sophisticated technology, yet underneath all that complexity was something every intelligent being understood: terror. "Control, this is Helia 7, Sarah spoke calmly, though her heart pounded. "We're picking up an unusual transmission. First analysis shows it's a cry for help from something not human. Earth Defense Command responded within moments. Verify and send it to us immediately, Lieutenant." As Sarah worked on the signal, pieces of information started making sense. Images showed widespread destruction. Star maps pointed to a region no one had explored. Most troubling were the recordings of the attackers, enormous vessels made of crystal, systematically burning entire cities to nothing. Since humans had learned to travel faster than light 100 years ago, they'd kept to themselves. They remembered the brutal lessons from their own past. Earth had become a fortress, its inhabitants strengthened through advanced science and toughened by living on a world with crushing gravity. They'd observed the galaxy from a distance, growing stronger, biding their time. Now someone needed their help. Admiral James Santos presented his findings to the Terran Defense Council, his intense gaze reflecting the holographic images of the distress call. "The Carth are peaceful people," he said, showing pictures of the graceful beings under siege. "Their society covers 12 star systems, centered on art, wisdom, and discovery. They never built serious weapons." "And who's attacking them?" Counselor Zhang asked sharply. "The Nexus Dominion," Santos answered, his face grim. "A crystalline collective that grows by destroying others. They've been moving through that region for 10 years, but we never thought they'd go after the Carth." Silence filled the council room, broken only by the quiet buzz of computers processing information. Humanity had spent generations preparing for first contact, creating weapons capable of cracking worlds, building ships that could dance with light itself. They'd evolved into something their ancestors might have feared. Counselor Martinez spoke, first, her enhanced voice carrying the weight of humanity's long evolution. "We can step in. The real question is whether we should." Santos straightened, his uniform marked with scars from countless training exercises against enemies exactly like this. "The Carth didn't send that message to us. They don't even know we're out here. But we received it. We heard their plea. If we look away now, what have we become?" The council members looked at each other, their linked minds sharing thoughts faster than speech. They'd all studied Earth's history, all those times when powerful societies ignored the desperate. They'd promised to be better. "The Terran Defense Fleet is prepared," Santos continued. "The 7th Expeditionary Force can launch in 6 hours. We've practiced fighting crystal-based organisms before. We understand their weaknesses." Council Leader Patel raised her hand, bringing instant quiet. "Humanity has stayed hidden for 100 years, building power, waiting for the right moment. Maybe that moment is now." She looked directly at Santos. Not as invaders, but as protectors. The vote was clear and immediate. Within hours, the shipyards circling Mars buzzed with motion. The 7th Expeditionary Force, 500 warships manned by humanity's best fighters, readied for departure. Their vessels were magnificent, black as the void itself, using technology that had been pure theory when humans first reached beyond their world. On the command ship Thermopylae, Admiral Santos stood on the bridge, watching his fleet assemble. Every vessel represented human creativity at its peak, powered by contained black holes, armed with weapons that could rip space itself apart. But more than that, they carried humanity's finest, men and women who'd trained their whole lives for exactly this. "All vessels ready, Admiral," his second-in-command reported. "Jump coordinates set for the Carth home system." Santos nodded, feeling history's weight on him. Humanity's isolation was ending, not through careful talks or peaceful meetings, but with force and fury. The galaxy was about to discover why Earth was labeled a death world, why its people were considered dangerous. "Send one final message to command," he ordered. "The 7th Fleet is moving to help the Carth against hostile forces. Humanity stands beside those who cannot defend themselves." The quantum engines powered up, reality bending around the fleet as they prepared to jump. Santos smiled without humor. The Nexus Dominion was about to discover they weren't the only hunters in the galaxy. "All vessels, execute jump. Let's demonstrate what humanity can accomplish." 500 ships disappeared into nowhere, carrying humanity's answer to a desperate call. The galaxy would never be the same again. Reality broke and reformed as the Terran fleet appeared from quantum space. The Carth home system stretched before them, twin stars casting violet and azure light across 9 worlds. But nature's beauty was ruined by conflict. Crystalline ships from the Nexus Dominion swarmed the 3rd planet like furious insects. Admiral Santos used his enhanced eyesight to zoom in on the scene, his brain implants analyzing the tactical situation. The Dominion fleet was huge, more than 2,000 ships of different sizes. Their crystal hulls bent starlight into dazzling displays. They were gorgeous in their alien way and completely lethal. "Detecting multiple energy sources," Lieutenant Commander Raisa reported, her fingers moving across the holographic controls. "The Dominion is striking population centers. Carth defenses are almost nothing. It's a massacre," Santos nodded grimly. "Battle formations. Execute Plan Thunderbolt." The human fleet moved with precision that would have seemed impossible to witnesses. 500 ships, each one a triumph of human engineering, divided into 3-dimensional attack patterns. They'd trained for this, running endless practice runs against crystal-based technologies. "Sir?" Raisa's voice held surprise. "The Dominion vessels aren't responding to us. Their sensors, they can't detect us." A thin smile crossed Santos's face. Human stealth technology, developed through decades of cautious preparation, was working perfectly. The Dominion fleet continued their bombardment, unaware that death approached silently. "All vessels, weapons free. Target their command structures first. Let's teach them what happens when you hunt the defenseless." The opening shots came without warning. Quantum-tipped missiles passed through the crystalline shields like they weren't there, exploding inside their hulls. Plasma beams, perfectly tuned to the vibration frequency of crystal structures, shattered whole squadrons of enemy ships. The Dominion fleet staggered in confusion. Their hive consciousness, used to flawless coordination, suddenly broke apart as command vessels burst into crystal fragments. They started turning their weapons, charging up, but they were fighting an enemy they couldn't properly see. On the surface of Carth Prime, the surviving aliens watched in amazement as their tormentors started dying in massive numbers. The night sky blazed with explosions, crystal debris falling like shooting stars. They'd never witnessed such devastating military skill, such crushing force applied with surgical exactness. The Dominion finally managed to target some human vessels. Their energy weapons lashed out with enough power to split a small moon. But Terran ships twisted away at impossible angles, their dampening systems and quantum drives allowing moves that broke normal physics. Where they couldn't dodge, their shields, reverse-engineered from black hole studies, absorbed the attacks easily. "Multiple Dominion capital ships trying to escape," Raisa reported. "They're heading for quantum jump points." Santos leaned forward in his command seat. "Not today. Deploy the gravity nets." Specialized ships from the human fleet activated their most secret weapon, artificial gravity fields that made faster-than-light travel impossible. The Dominion ships found themselves trapped, their crystal forms gleaming in the binary starlight as they desperately tried to flee. "This is Admiral Santos of the Terran Defense Fleet." His transmission cut across all channels, translated into the crystal harmonics of Dominion communication. "You attacked peaceful people, murdered innocents, and showed no mercy. Now you face humanity, and we will teach you the true meaning of war." The response came in sharp, grating tones that the ship's computer translated. "Unknown entities, you dare interfere with the Dominion's harvest? We are the top predators of this galaxy. Your resistance means nothing." "Top predators?" Santos's laugh was cold. "You've never met humans before. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us constantly. We survived ice ages, asteroid strikes, and our own nuclear wars. Everything we are, everything we've created was forged in Earth's crucible, a planet you'd call a death world." The Dominion ships began clustering, their crystal forms merging into larger structures. It was an impressive display of their technological advancement, but Santos had expected this. The simulations had predicted exactly this behavior. "All ships, execute maneuver Shatterpoint. Show them what real predators can do." The human fleet moved as one being, their formation shifting like something alive. Quantum-tipped missiles hit precise points in the merged Dominion structure, while gravity beams created localized crushing fields. The crystalline megastructure began cracking, its perfect symmetry broken by carefully calculated strikes. On his command screen, Santos watched the battle unfold with cold satisfaction. The Dominion had never fought an enemy like humanity, a species that had spent its entire existence fighting, adapting, and overcoming impossible challenges. They had no idea what they'd awakened. As the battle continued, the Carth witnessed something they'd never imagined. The supposedly invincible Dominion fleet was being methodically destroyed by ships they could barely track, using weapons they couldn't understand. Their rescuers fought with precision and violence that seemed impossible, their technology so advanced it looked like magic. The message to the galaxy was obvious. Humanity had emerged from isolation not as conquerors or invaders, but as protectors, and they were far more powerful than anyone could have guessed. The battle's aftermath created an otherworldly scene above Carth Prime. Crystal debris sparkled in the twin starlight, forming an artificial asteroid belt where the mighty Dominion fleet had existed. But the Terran ships gave no time for reflection. They'd won in space, but the ground war remained. Detecting multiple Dominion ground forces, Lieutenant Commander Raisa reported, her neural connections processing sensor information. "They're digging in at the major cities using civilian populations as cover." Admiral Santos rose from his command chair, his enhanced muscles tensing beneath his uniform. "They think we won't risk civilian deaths. They don't understand humans very well, do they?" He turned to his combat operations officer. "Deploy the Ghost Walkers." Deep inside the Thermopylae, human troops prepared for ground deployment. The Ghost Walker Corps represented the pinnacle of human military evolution. Soldiers enhanced with cutting-edge biotechnology and armed with weapons that bent physics itself. Their powered armor was like a second skin, black as space and nearly as quiet. Commander Elena Volkov checked her quantum rifle one final time before addressing her troops. "Listen up, Ghost Walkers. The Dominion thinks they can hide behind civilians. We're going to show them why that was their biggest mistake. Team Alpha will deploy stealth inhibitors to cut their communication with the hive mind. Team Beta will evacuate civilians through quantum tunnels. Charlie Team, you're with me. We hunt." Drop pods launched from the human fleet, their stealth systems making them virtually invisible as they pierced the atmosphere. The Dominion forces looked upward, their crystal sensors detecting nothing but background radiation. The first sign of human presence came when entire squads of crystal warriors suddenly lost contact with their hive mind. Their perfect coordination dissolved into chaos. Elena's pod landed silently in what had once been a Carth cultural center. Her armor sensors painted a tactical picture. Crystal warriors holding groups of Carth hostage, their elegant forms twisted with fear. The Dominion soldiers stood like statues, their faceted forms reflecting the dim light. "Target analysis complete," her AI reported. "Structural weaknesses identified. Quantum ammunition calibrated. Elena moved like a shadow, her enhanced muscles and frictionless joints allowing movement that would have seemed impossible. The first Dominion warrior shattered before it could react, quantum rounds striking precise points that spread destruction through its crystal form. Across the city, similar scenes unfolded. Ghostwalkers emerged from darkness, their weapons perfectly tuned to exploit every weakness in Dominion physiology. Where the crystal warriors attempted to merge into larger forms, human soldiers deployed gravity bombs that disrupted their molecular bonds. A group of Carth watched in amazement as Elena personally freed them, her movements a blur even to their advanced optical organs. One of them, wearing the markings of a senior scholar, spoke in halting universal standard. You move like liquid shadow. Are you truly organic beings? Elena's helmet retracted, showing her very human face. We're human. We evolved on a world with gravity almost twice what you're used to. Every step we take here feels like we're dancing on air. She helped an injured Carth to their feet. Your people called for help. We answered. The scholar's iridescent eyes widened. The stories were true about the Death World species that sealed themselves away. But why would such powerful beings help us? Before Elena could answer, her tactical display lit up with warnings. A massive Dominion form was approaching, a fusion of hundreds of warriors into a crystal titan that towered over the buildings. Its voice resonated through the ground itself. Primitive organic creatures, your interference will not be tolerated. The harvest must continue. Elena's helmet snapped back into place as she pushed the civilians toward the quantum tunnel evacuation points. Get them out of here, she ordered her team. Then she looked up at the crystal monstrosity and smiled behind her visor. Always wanted to test the new toys. Her armor hummed as it activated its most advanced systems. Quantum fields wrapped around her, allowing her to manipulate local space-time itself. She launched herself upward, her movements breaking several laws of physics as she engaged the Titan directly. The Dominion entity lashed out with crystal appendages, each strike carrying enough force to level a building. But Elena flowed around them like water, her enhanced body and advanced armor working in perfect harmony. Where the Titan tried to predict her movements, she shifted through quantum states, appearing where she couldn't possibly be. You call yourselves apex predators, she taunted as she planted quantum charges at key structural points. But you've never fought someone who evolved to survive impossible odds. Never faced beings who turned their own world's attempts to kill them into strengths. The charges detonated in sequence, sending quantum resonance cascading through the crystal structure. The Titan tried to compensate, to redistribute its mass, but the attack had been perfectly calculated. With a sound like a mountain of glass shattering, the massive form collapsed. As the dust settled, Elena stood among the crystal shards, her armor barely scratched. The remaining Dominion forces across the city were already retreating, their hive mind consciousness shaken by the loss of so many components. They'd never encountered enemies who could move like shadows, strike like lightning, and shatter their strongest forms with such precision. The Carth scholar approached her again, wonder and fear mingling in their expression. Your people, you're not just powerful. You understand warfare on a level we never imagined possible. Elena's helmet retracted again, her expression serious. We understand it because we've spent our entire history fighting. Against nature, against each other, against everything that tried to kill us. We learned to survive, then to thrive, then to protect. That's what humans do. Above them, the Terran fleet maintained its vigilant watch, their black ships a promise to the galaxy. Humanity had emerged from isolation not to conquer, but to defend. The age of hiding was over, and the Dominion was about to learn why Earth was called a death world. Deep within the secured quantum labs aboard the Thermopylae, Dr. Maya Patel studied the captured Dominion crystal fragments with growing concern. Her enhanced mind processed data streams from a dozen different quantum scanners, each revealing another layer of the crystal entity's true nature. Admiral Santos, she called, her voice tense. You need to see this right away. The Admiral arrived within minutes, his own neural connections already processing preliminary data. What have you discovered, Doctor? Maya gestured to a holographic display showing the molecular structure of the crystal fragments. These aren't just living crystals, sir. They're receivers, components of a vast communication network that extends far beyond our known space. The Dominion isn't just an empire, it's a foothold. She manipulated the display, showing energy patterns that pulsed through the crystal structure. They're not here to conquer or harvest. They're preparing this sector of space for something much worse. These crystals. They're terraforming tools designed to reshape entire systems into something alien. Before Santos could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Lieutenant Commander Risa's voice cut through the command channel. Multiple quantum ruptures detected. Massive Dominion fleet emerging. At least 5,000 ships. Santos was already moving, his enhanced muscles carrying him to the bridge in seconds. The tactical display showed a nightmare scenario, the space around Carth Prime torn open by quantum breaches as crystalline ships poured through. These weren't like the previous vessels. They were darker, more angular, designed purely for war. All ships, battle stations, Santos ordered, his voice calm despite the odds. Dr. Patel, I need options. Maya's voice came through the command channel, rapid and focused. The crystals are all networked, sharing a quantum-entangled consciousness. If we can disrupt that network, she paused, calculations racing through her enhanced mind. We need to create a quantum resonance cascade, but it would take more power than our entire fleet possesses. Santos watched as the new Dominion fleet approached, their formation perfect and inevitable. What about the binary stars? There was a moment of silence as Maya processed the implication. Yes, if we can trigger a controlled nova in the smaller star, the quantum fluctuations would be enough to shatter their network. But, sir, that would mean sacrificing our position. The stealth systems wouldn't survive those energy levels. They already know we're here, Santos replied grimly. This isn't about hiding anymore. He opened a channel to all human ships. 7th Fleet, this is Admiral Santos. We now face the true might of the Dominion. They thought to reshape this galaxy into their image, to prepare it for something even worse. They forgot one thing, this galaxy already has protectors. The human fleet moved with deadly grace, their black ships forming new patterns that confused the Dominion's tactical algorithms. Santos continued. Humanity hid from the galaxy because we remembered our own wars, our own mistakes. We built our strength in secret not to conquer, but to defend. Today we show everyone why Earth was called a death world. The battle erupted with impossible violence. Dominion ships fired crystal beams that could cut planets in half, but human vessels phased through the attacks, their quantum drives bending reality itself. Where the Crystal Fleet tried to predict movement patterns, they found only chaos. Humanity had learned long ago that predictability meant death. Commander Elena Volkov, back aboard her ship, led a strike team of smaller vessels through the Dominion formation. Their mission: plant quantum resonance devices at precise points around the smaller binary star. Each approach was a dance with death, human reflexes and technology tested against crystal perfection. They're adapting to our stealth systems, Risa reported, her hands flying over tactical controls. Dominion ships are starting to track our signatures. Santos nodded. They learn fast, so do we. Execute Protocol Omega. Throughout the human fleet, ships began transmitting on frequencies that shouldn't have been possible, broadcasting quantum signals that played havoc with the Dominion's networked consciousness. The crystal ships faltered, their perfect coordination showing cracks, but the Dominion's response was devastating. Their ships began to merge, forming massive geometric structures that warped space itself. Energy beams lanced out, finally finding their marks. Human vessels, their stealth compromised, took direct hits. The void filled with expanding clouds of plasma and debris. Resonance devices planted, Elena reported, her voice steady despite the chaos. Awaiting final command. Santos looked at his tactical display. The human fleet had bloodied the Dominion badly, but they were outnumbered and increasingly outmaneuvered. The enemy was learning, adapting, becoming stronger, just like humans would. Dr. Patel, what are our chances? Maya's response was immediate. The cascade will definitely disrupt their network. But the quantum backlash, I can't guarantee any ship within 3 light minutes will survive. Santos smiled grimly. Then we make sure as many ships as possible get beyond that range. All vessels, execute emergency quantum jumps on my mark. Commander Volkov, your team has 30 seconds to clear the blast zone. The Dominion pressed their advantage, their geometric superstructures closing in for the kill. They never realized it was exactly what humanity wanted, drawing them closer to the star that was about to become their doom. All ships, mark. The quantum resonance devices activated simultaneously, their effect amplified by the star's massive energy. For a moment, space itself seemed to hold its breath. Then reality cracked. The binary star erupted in a cascade of quantum energy, its smaller companion transforming into a maelstrom of reality-warping forces. The Dominion fleet, caught in their own geometric formations, couldn't react fast enough. The quantum resonance spread through their network consciousness like a virus, shattering the very foundations of their crystal technology. From the bridge of the Thermopylae, now safely beyond the blast radius, Admiral Santos watched as space itself twisted and burned. The massive Dominion superstructures began to fragment, their perfect geometric forms dissolving as the quantum cascade disrupted their molecular bonds. It was beautiful in a terrible way, like watching a galaxy die and be reborn in the same instant. Signal disruption at 98%, Dr. Patel reported, her enhanced mind processing the sensor data. Their network is collapsing. The hive mind is fragmenting. The remaining Dominion ships, cut off from their collective consciousness, began to move erratically. Some tried to flee, their crystal forms already showing cracks. Others, driven by some final directive, attempted to continue their attack. But without their network, without their perfect coordination, they were no match for human precision. "All surviving ships, form up," Santos ordered. "Let's finish this." The human fleet moved like predators, their black ships striking from impossible angles. What had begun as a desperate defense had become a hunting operation. One by one, the remaining Dominion vessels were isolated and destroyed, their crystal debris adding to the artificial asteroid field that now surrounded Carth Prime. Commander Elena Volkov's voice came through the command channel. Ground teams reporting in. "The Dominion forces on the surface they're shutting down. Without the network, they're just empty shells." On the surface of Carth Prime, the surviving aliens emerged from their shelters to witness something unprecedented. The crystal warriors that had terrorized them, that had seemed invincible, lay shattered and lifeless. Above them, the night sky was filled with the aftermath of battle. Debris that sparkled like stars in the dark shapes of human ships standing guard. The Carth scholar who had spoken with Elena approached a landing party of ghost walkers, their iridescent eyes wide with wonder. "You did the impossible. You not only defeated them, you broke their very nature." Elena's helmet retracted as she responded. "Humanity has spent its entire history doing the impossible. It's kind of our thing." Admiral Santos stood on the bridge of the Thermopylae, watching as rescue and recovery operations began. Dr. Patel had joined him, her analysis of the battle's aftermath displaying on nearby holographic screens. "The quantum cascade did more than just defeat them," she explained. "It revealed something in their base code. Coordinates buried deep in their crystal structure. They were scouts, Admiral, preparing this sector of space for something much larger." Santos nodded grimly. "How much time do we have?" "Based on the data? Years, maybe decades. Whatever they were preparing for, it's coming from outside our galaxy. The Dominion was just the advance guard." The Admiral's enhanced vision focused on the distant stars, his expression determined. "Then we have work to do. Humanity spent a century hiding, building our strength. Now we know why." In the days that followed, the galaxy learned of humanity's emergence in a way no one could ignore. The story spread quickly, how a mysterious fleet of black ships had appeared from nowhere, how they had not only defeated, but utterly destroyed a force that had seemed unstoppable, how these Deathworlders fought with impossible precision and power. But more importantly, they learned what humanity intended to do with that power. 1 month after the battle, representatives from 100 alien species gathered on a neutral station to meet humanity's diplomatic corps. Admiral Santos stood before them, his uniform still bearing the marks of battle. "We hid ourselves away because we remembered our own violent past," he addressed the assembly. "We built our strength in secret because we knew that somewhere, sometime, it would be needed. Today we stand before you not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as guardians. He gestured to the holographic display showing the Dominion's coordinates. Something is coming. Something that sees our galaxy as territory to be harvested and reshaped. The Dominion was just the beginning. But humanity has spent its entire history fighting impossible odds, surviving against forces that should have destroyed us. The alien representatives murmured among themselves, their various forms and features expressing a mix of fear and hope. The Carth scholar, now serving as their species' ambassador, spoke up. You offer to protect us? All of us?